Right, record on this computer. Yeah. Okay, so I need to dive back into where I was before because I had some hilarious things to discuss.
Where were you before? It sounds like you're in
Other
some...
screen.
Oh, right. Oh, just in the other, some nether world of the others.
It might as well be, honestly. The amount of stuff that's on this screen is unreal. Nothing on that screen.
You boys that have multiple screens, you get some...
Craig, well, Craig, you've seen my setup. It's awesome.
Yeah, Sean's is like
it's like a gaming
Star Wars. I can go back to it with one screen though. I think the two screens it's it's just so difficult with one screen now.
That's a real first world problem, isn't it? I couldn't.
Amazingly so. Well, when I built my new PC, right, my graphics card can hold 6 screens, so I'm debating it 3 above it. So I am debating.
I think you should do it. I don't know why.
If this ends up in the podcast, there's a whole bunch of people saying, "I'm not listening to this anymore." And he thinks having 6 screens is cool.
Genuinely, the only thing that stops me from doing it is it'll feel a bit flight simulatory. Right, so that's the only thing.
Flight the Navigator. Remember the movie?
Yeah, but never mind.
Why haven't they remade that? Anyway, digressing before we even start.
Shall we talk about some weird laws?
Let's talk about some weird laws.
So we're back to weird now. I thought it was strange.
Strange laws.
Strange, weird, different.
Strange laws, different.
Outrageous.
I think we just, they are strange.
Pick a word. It doesn't really
matter. Different seems like a too PC kind of.
So this feels like it's a bit different from normal. We always push really hard on the fact that these are totally unscripted.
They are unscripted.
Totally unscripted,
the laws themselves.
Research.
Well, none of us have any idea what the other one's going to say. So in that sense, it's unscripted.
That is very, very true. That is very true. Now, I want to kick off, if I may.
And can we just put as a preface to every single thing that we're going to say the word allegedly?
No, no, these are actual laws.
Allegedly.
I've got some stories about something that allegedly happened as well. So.
Oh, brilliant! Let's throw that in there.
Yeah, you might as well. We want to start with your alleged story. May have been made up.
Okay, if you're going to throw. Well, allegedly, as we just this from today, discovered this today. Grace, my wife, is busily throwing stuff out, but we've discovered that this is true. Overuse of the local recycling centre could be seen as a, quote, waste crime.
Is that a thing?
There you go.
How does that work?
Waste crime? What?
Throwing away too much waste, using the waste disposal recycling centre too much, could be viewed as a waste crime.
You're recycling too much.
So, well, that's the thing, right? Because I know for a fact that my local recycling centre has a waste, like a landfill skip in it, included. So, I mean, is that what they're referring to? Because if it's recycling, then it's going back into the system, or so they tell us it is.
Yeah.
So the only reason that I can think
it's you again. We'll get the waste police onto you.
Yeah, but the only reason I can think that it might be a waste crime is the fact that they're not actually recycling that stuff.
So it's them that's committing the waste crime then?
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Well,
maybe. I have no idea. I nearly got...
So Fife Council, we've decided you're committing the waste crime.
And you're now reported on...
Yes.
Yeah, you'll have your picture at the front door and everything.
Anyway, that was from today. And
I got into trouble.
I think the harder you look for these things,
that was from today's news.
It is to find bizarre, weird things that are going on, both historical and current.
Well, on the recycling one, actually, not a law, but I got into trouble recently for disposing or recycling soil into the skip, which I had branches and stuff like that in it, and I just assumed garden waste meant soil as well, but no, you've got to put that in the landfill.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I knew you can put rocks in. I knew you can put rocks or stones in.
But... Yeah, we had a problem with that a few years back, didn't we?
Oh, God, yeah.
Let's not go into that.
Oh, jeez.
But that wasn't a law. I just got in trouble for it. But after I'd done it as well, after I'd poured all the soil in, he said, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." I mean, which one we do about it now?
So that's interesting. We've already got one of our usual distinctions here. There are things that are laws. In other words, they're somehow
actual legal laws.
It's a legal requirement. And then there's this other thing which are rules or somebody's interpretation of a situation or something to do with policy.
Yes, rules, process, that's very different than laws.
Yeah.
See?
True, but you bear in mind, guys, I've got a law degree, so I'm going to come in quite useful on this one.
Oh, excellent.
There are
Sean, you never
laws.
cease to amaze me. We keep forgetting these things.
That was a long time. I mean, it's irrelevant now. Like laws have moved on since I passed, but never mind.
Well, laws have moved on since some of these have passed.
I know,
the
but
point
we still
nobody
talk to it.
changes them. Nobody changes them.
Beautiful, isn't it?
Well, given that you're the lawyer amongst us, Sean, then come on in.
Well, I want to
something.
stipulate there's essentially I'm not going to get into the details, but there's two separate things that we need to look at here. There's statutory laws, right? So things that are literally written down, been passed by the House of Commons or whatever in the UK, and then you've got common laws, things that we all just know are legal and aren't legal, and it's because somebody somewhere has done this in the past, and
and been done for it and said you can't do that. And
pretty much, yeah. I mean, I've butchered the kind of definition of it, but I think everybody listening will.
I have a great common law one. This is a Scottish common law, never passed in statute, but seemingly still is upheld. If anyone asks you to use your toilet in Scotland, you must let them.
I've got one of those ones. Yeah, I've got it. Yeah, Andrew, it's true. Now, bear in mind, right? So you thought that was just a common law one. I got this from the law portal. That's
a law portal.
The law portal. It's you need to use a toilet. You can knock on someone's door because everyone heard this as a kid, and you can ask to use their bathroom. It's an old Scottish common law regarding law hospitality, so fair play to the Scots. It's actually still enforceable, even though it was never officially authorised by Parliament. I think this is one that one of us or all of us, and plus listeners, should actually try.
So we should start something here.
We should start. Now, I
want people to video it on their phone.
Video it, knock on someone's door, and just ask them if you can use a toilet. I would love to see someone send this in. If they say no, just quote the fact that it is a law. It's that you cannot refuse you access to their toilet. It doesn't say if it's, like, for instance, I would say, well, is it just to go for a pee? Because you're not going for a shit. That's it doesn't specify.
No, it doesn't.
Now you've got to figure out whether or not that's outdated and still enforceable or not. But at one point, obviously, it was. And this is kind of what we're here to talk about. So I reckon we need to go try it.
I think so.
You know those things that occur on Facebook and so on every now and again, people throwing buckets of ice water over people's heads and so on. I think that's we've started.
That's going to be the one.
This is going to be the next one.
I would love if that was.
Oh God,
I would love that was. We get so many complaints. It's like, listen, you guys, I've had randoms turning up and just asking to come and use my toilet. It's stupid hours. Because then there's another thing: is at times.
Oh, all right, okay.
I think we should maybe specify times, because then we might be encouraging people to knock on people's doors at 12 or 1 o'clock, and they might then get done with some other law that we might cover.
You could see how that actually could become a thing, sort of 1 a.m. and you've missed the bus, and
exactly.
I'm
going to take advantage of the law and use someone's toilet.
Yeah,
unbelievable. It really is.
So that's common law.
I don't know. No idea. We'll stay straightforward now that I don't know if the ones that I'm going to list out to you I don't know if they're under common law or statutory law, unless it's stated, because some of these are actually stated under the law that it is under the act that's there. So I've got a couple. I've got ones from the UK and I've got ones from the US as well, because the US have always got fun.
I've got a couple of European ones.
But I want to start close to home. Now, this one, you mentioned about the toilet one. That might be outdated. I don't know if that's whether active or not. But this one is still active under the Licensing Scotland Act of 1976. It's essentially the Drinking Act. It's illegal to
be drinking act.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's illegal to be drunk and in charge of a cow.
Wow. Well, pretty much, I don't want to kind of throw a blanket over this, but half the farming community, that's them screwed, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. That's two things that we all know about farmers. They have cows and like
they're drunk and they're in charge of cows. So
if you have a farm and you have a drink at night and you're a little bit over the top,
put someone else in charge of the cows.
somebody else.
You've got to, yeah.
This is not about walking a cow down the street or something like that. This is.
It just says be in charge of a cow, which is pretty ambiguous. So you can make it do whatever you want,
You could say,
really.
listen, I'm walking the cow down the road, but my wife is under my wife's charge, so
Yeah.
I'm just going for a walk with the cow.
Yeah, it's
I
on
might-
passenger, basically.
We're both hammered, but it's not my cow. It's not my
So you
cow.
get points on your license for that.
How many, how many points do you actually get?
But yeah, that's still genuinely it's under the license in Scotland
Wow.
Act 1976. So I don't understand it. But all of these laws that we are going to read out and debate and laugh about does beg the question that these are only laws because
Something happened.
Someone's
done it.
done something
That's what I
has
love about
been
these.
ridiculous. You know, for example,
Oh, well, is that a fair comment? That
well,
for instance, the drunken
Yeah.
cow law came about because somebody was drunk in charge of a cow,
yeah, I
or
would think so. Yeah.
because a lot of laws that come out they seem to come out, but nobody's done it yet, and then
Well, Andrew, I'll leave you to ponder this one, shall I?
Okay.
Houses of Parliament. It's illegal to enter the Houses of Parliament wearing a suit of armour. It's still on the book. It's still active. Now, you've got to be. There's no
That
way
really-
that they debated that in the Houses of Parliament.
that really puts the
The fact
kibosh
that-
on the new political party I was thinking of launching.
So someone had to.
There's no
had
way they
to-
thought about doing making
Nah.
that a law without somebody doing that.
No, so some random knight has tried to enter
Yeah.
the Houses of Parliament, right?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
100%. Yeah. That's still yeah. And the common one, it's a common misconception as well. It's illegal to be drunk in a pub in the UK. Yeah. Well, if you think about it, right? If you've had too much, for example, a barman will cut you
Yeah.
off, and you cannot be sold alcohol. Now, generally speaking, they need to take you out of the premises for that because you cannot be drunk in a pub.
Don't
Well, that's
talk
kind of-
about that one. That's everyone screwed.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a weird one, isn't it?
And make sure you take a cow with you when you leave.
That's my next weekend ruined because me and the cow we're going to go to the pub. We're going to have sink a few tequilas. That's my
I now have
whole night ruined.
I now have this vision at 1 a.m. that somebody's going to turn up at my house with a cow and ask for the toilet.
Dressed as a knight.
Riding a cow dressed as a knight.
Listen to this one in England and
Oh my
Wales,
God.
right?
Okay.
And this is one that was introduced in the Victorian era. It was the 1868 Salmon Fisheries Act, right? It's illegal to hold salmon under suspicious circumstances.
What to kind of
Do you know what's funny? I've heard
retain
that
them?
before.
To
I've got
detain
to-
them, I don't know if it doesn't. This is the thing. It
Oh,
doesn't
man.
actually say what it is.
Suspicious circumstance. There's got to be more to that. There's
There's something
Well-
fishy about that.
Well, look at it.
Well done,
Oh,
Andrew.
well done. Looking into it, right? The likelihood is that it is around someone where they believe could have fished salmon illegally and then sold it to someone else or held
Okay.
it for someone else. But the law itself, because there's that ambiguity, to hold salmon under suspicious circumstances.
But it specifically salmon.
Salmon, no other fish.
Only-
All the
only
other fish
salmon.
are allowed. So cod, you can hold as suspiciously as you like.
That's
Well,
got to
Not
be
salmon.
the only.
I love a phrase. That cod looks vaguely suspicious.
It's got to be something to do with the value of it.
Cod,
Right.
red hand.
Yeah.
It has to be. Salmon's obviously more expensive than haddock, so I don't get it personally. But they, get hell, honestly. But you got to ask yourself why did it go that far that it had to be a law?
That's it. How many people were doing it?
Oh,
and
you said
where?
that was Victorian era. That's going to have something to do with salmon fishing rights and Victoria and Albert. And
Yeah, well,
and
it was
all
the
that sort
UK,
of thing.
yeah. That was in the UK.
That was in the UK, England and Wales.
Right.
Oh, England and Wales. All right.
Well, England and Wales. So
Well-
you do it in Scotland. You can hold
Oh, sorry.
salmon in Scotland.
Yeah, apparently we don't care about the fishermen. Really.
There's no suspicious salmon holding in Scotland.
You know, we spoke about America, though. I'll throw one before I bat it back
Yeah.
to you guys. Because
Sure.
America, there's got to be heaps. I didn't spend too much time looking at it. But again, this was on the law portal. This one was great.
Mhm.
It is, where are we? Because I thought this one was fantastic. It's illegal to fart in a public place after 6 p.m. on Thursdays in Florida.
That is so specific.
Well, it actually says past wind, but
Hmm.
it's obviously been long forgotten. But it's actually, yep, illegal. But this is so specific. It's illegal to fart in Florida after 6 p.m. on a Thursday. It's apparently never been enforced, probably written in the 1800s, and it's not clear why it ever became a law. But this is one of those ones that, you say someone did it, someone had to have done it. So I can imagine, a group of people sitting around a bar or something, and there was a
Yeah.
lawyer there, or I don't know, a senator
Somebody
or
was
whatever it
offended
was,
by
a
something.
senator. One of his buddies farted. It stank the place right out, and he said, "Right, I've had it.
I'm still putting this.
Anyone else does this on Thursday,
my
when I
God.
go for my beers on a Thursday, anyone else does this, they're going to be jailed and it's illegal," and wrote it in the law book, sealed it, and no one else thought anything of it. How bizarre is that?
That's
I've-
genuinely the most specific one I've ever heard.
I've got an
Save
American
all your
one.
farts for Fridays after 6 p.m. and Friday. Anyone who's in
Get
Florida.
them all out before
And then you're
safe.
5:59.
Yeah. So I've got an American one. It's from Georgia, so it just seems appropriate. Where chickens are not allowed to cross the road.
No way.
That has to be where the joke comes from, right?
Yeah.
Did you hear
I
the one
would
about
think
the
so.
chicken cross the road? Well, it couldn't have happened in Georgia.
Oh my God.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. It's
Fucking
actually
hell.
a law. It's a
Yeah,
law.
that is insane.
That
So
is
why?
bizarre. Why?
Probably put an end to that joke. It's not funny.
Why did the chicken cross the road? Well, they didn't in Georgia.
Not allowed to. Are the roads that wide?
Does it say anything? Did you get anything?
No. At that point, you kind of think, well, do I really want to know why the Georgians decided that this was some law they had to pass? I mean, at the moment, we've got a bit of a theme going on here: the cows, chickens, and salmon,
Yeah.
subject to a variety of laws.
Brilliant.
What I would like to understand, however, and we could debate this for hours if we wanted to, is why do people feel these laws need to be written down somewhere? Why did they ever become laws? And I know we touched on the fact that it's probably because someone sometime did the stupid thing that made it become a law. But why didn't that person just get dealt with and moved on?
Yeah.
Why did we have to write it down in a book hundreds of years ago for
It
this?
has to be. The only thing I think of is the person that was affected by it
Yeah.
had some input into law writing. I would suggest it can't be anything. Or said, look, do you know what? This has really pissed me off, and they had good contact. Said, I need to make a law about this because it's really winding me up.
Well,
These
Sean,
these chickens keep crossing the road. I wonder
no,
what
I
they've
mean,
done.
I might not.
were the laws solely in the hands of the legal fraternity, or was it, if you were the top board
Yeah.
landowner or something like that, you just decided this is how I want it to be
Well,
in my
yeah,
part of the world?
technically. So before we go any further, we'll explain roughly how laws are enforced in the UK anyway.
Well, everyone's just switched off now.
Yeah, 100%. So we'll just
Well.
talk amongst ourselves for a little minute. But the way that the laws are come into effect, right? So it gets passed into, I might get this in the wrong order, but either the House of Commons or the House of Lords first. And then they debate it and so on, goes on for ages. And then it gets passed to the other one, whatever one came second, the House of Commons or the House
The
of
Commons
Lords.
to Lords.
Whatever it might be, I can't remember. It was a long time ago I did my degree, so it's irrelevant now. In any case, so that gets passed, and then they debate it for hours. Now, if and only if they then say, yes, it's approved, it needs to go to the now king for him to go, yes. If
It's
he
a bit
says-
complicated now, right? So that's
Well,
here.
Yeah, but it's always been that way because
Is it?
yeah,
Okay.
it's been that way for a long time because essentially, like you said there, Andrew, the landowner is the royal family. So
Yeah.
they own the entire UK amongst other countries. But if King Charles turns around and says no, I don't like that, it then gets passed back into the House of Commons to debate it again and then back up the system. That's why it takes forever for an ambiguous law to come
That sounds
into
like the
effect.
council. That sounds
Yeah,
like
pretty much, yeah.
That sounds like trying to appeal one of those sort of parking zone or
Oh,
zones in the
don't
council.
get me started on a parking.
I think it goes to the king and then back down to the council.
Honestly,
They
it's
sit on it,
ridiculous.
shuffle papers around.
I
and
got.
they
I-
are now do double. I think.
I want to complain about our council just for a minute because I got a
I know,
bus
well, we
lane
need to make
ticket.
it clear because this is a global podcast that the council
Yes.
you're talking about is.
Well, Is that
It doesn't
against?
matter. But everybody has them. You know, these bus lanes. I got a bus lane ticket for driving in a bus lane, right? In like April.
Or I bet it was on a Sunday with no buses.
No, it wasn't. No, it was midday, right in the time of the bus. So, and that's fair enough. And I appealed it, and I won my appeal literally like 2 weeks ago, right? So it's taken like 3 months to get to it, but I won the appeal because my car was on the back of a pickup going to the garage.
The honestly, the utter incompetence
I know.
of someone thought, do you know what? I've caught them. I'm going to find them.
Yeah,
That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
That's obviously the person who's dealing with my complaint.
yeah,
And,
pretty much, pretty
what do you
much.
call it?
Same guy.
No go.
Yeah.
No go.
So bus lanes are not
brilliant.
really a law as such, are they? They're more like a policy or whatever handed to the council, and that's fair enough. I'm of the opinion that it should be in reverse. You shouldn't be able to use it outside of the times specified, but you should
Well,
be able to.
Speaking
in
of
those
reverse, Sean, speaking of
Yeah.
reverse, that's nicely put into.
Go on
Another
then.
one of those weird laws that I came across was no walking backwards while eating a hamburger in Oklahoma.
I'm trying to picture in
That's
my
just plain
mind,
common sense.
Okay,
but
well,
but you
it
picture in
is,
your mind a guy
but
doing that.
so there had to be something put in where they could legally reprimand someone for eating a hamburger
Yeah.
backwards.
But,
And
but
the law is said to have been passed to prevent people, we could probably put the word stupid in there, from choking on their food. So you had apparently people walking backwards, possibly just in Oklahoma, they might have done it in other places, eating hamburgers and choking. So someone
But
felt the need to say, we need
isn't
to
that a
law.
reflection on how laws work in the States? I'm going to get this wrong, so forgive all the American listeners here. Something to do with Bill of Rights, that actually you have to explicitly say things to protect people. So it's the famous one about, I think this has cropped up before, deja vu, poodle in the microwave story.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because the instructions on the microwave didn't say you can't dry your poodle in it.
Because of litigation, right? Because over there, because of the, how quick and easy it is to sue. So I think you're right, and that they
So
will
let's think of all possible
yeah.
situations where somebody might choke on their hamburger. Well, if they're
Yeah.
walking backwards,
If they're walking backwards, that's nobody's fault.
So
You're stupid.
essentially, we're saying it's to cover their own ass.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
what
that-
these laws are for.
you could see how that could get really ridiculous. That list of ass covering.
It could get out of hand pretty
I would
quickly.
love
And
to
you
see
know
some of
you know what? I'd
those, yeah.
argue that it already has. Here's a question for you, and this is something that I've put a little bit of effort into for you. And I'm hoping the listeners can listen along and try and play along. I'm going to read out 3 laws, 2 truths and a lie is what we're going to play.
Oh,
Which
excellent. I
which
like
one's the
games.
fake law? All right. So these are all based in the US as well, because they were the funniest types of laws that I could find. Not the most stupid, but they were definitely the funniest. Right. So first one, you can tell me which one you think is not true. So in Michigan, a woman is not allowed to cut her own hair without her husband's permission. Amazing. Second one, in Maine, it is illegal to whistle while wearing yellow socks on Tuesdays.
Wow.
And the third one is in Georgia. It's illegal to carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket on Sundays.
Those last 2 have to be true. So it's the first one.
I think so as well, because of the one that we got, because they're so specific.
Ah,
And thinking that some stupid person's going to do this. It's the damn things that get me. It's like the farting on a Thursday. It's
yeah.
Why not every day?
Right.
Just
Well,
stop
I
people
will say,
farting and
I can almost understand why there's certain laws on Sundays, right? Because of like religious factors. I can almost gather that because largely Christian countries. Obviously multicultural now, they need to include other days like the Sabbath for Jewish and so on and so forth. But it's actually the one in Maine. It's illegal to whistle while wearing yellow socks on Tuesday. That is not real.
It's not real.
So women need to
It
ask
should
their
be.
husband's permission to get a haircut if they want to do it themselves. In Michigan, I think that's incredible. That is unreal. What a stupid thing. But the ice cream cone in the back pocket on Sundays is beautiful because I just get this image of a guy wandering down the street with 2 ice cream cones. He's shit. I've got a third one. Where to put it?
I'm going to put it in my pocket. What I'm
Oh,
actually
no, on
going
Sunday.
over my head is the fact that you made up that other one. That
Yeah.
is
I know, right?
That's
I
the thing
modeled it. I modeled it off of a couple of others, because I had to get something mental, doing something mental whilst doing something else mental, and I threw in the day just for a giggle.
Oh,
So I've got another question though,
Go for
for
it.
you. What is a weird law? Well, what is something weird that you would like to be a law?
ooh.
We can think about that and come
Talk
back to
about
it if you want.
putting us on the spot.
Yeah, come back to it at the end if you like.
Yeah, okay, we'll come back to it. We'll finish off with that.
I like that.
I would
yeah.
love the listeners to email in and tell us as well. Something weird you want to become a law.
Yeah.
Have a little think about it because it's a
Actually,
good laugh.
well, there's maybe illegal things I want to become a law.
Yeah. Well, there's certain things that are legal that you wouldn't think were legal. The biggest one that I came across was adultery. That's perfectly legal. But I couldn't
Really?
figure. Yeah, perfectly legal. It's not a crime. I don't know
Not
why.
according to Jesus.
No, oh God, no. but
Yeah.
then you get into the debate of can you really legalize religion activities, and it becomes a whole thing.
Well, there's a fair number of religious
Yeah, marriage being one of them.
doctrines that
Yeah,
are
yeah.
legally
Are legal.
binding.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
and they're
true.
religious based. Yeah, religiously
Yeah.
based. Yeah.
They're religiously based, but marriage is not the religious factor of a marriage is
No,
not
I
the
get
legal
ya.
entity of it. It becomes a whole different thing about name changing and tax write-offs. And
Oh well,
so on
okay.
and so
Names. Here's one for you.
Go for it.
Iceland. You can only choose names off a names register in Iceland.
forth. Oh, I like that idea
Oh,
though.
really?
Uh-huh.
Do you know what? I love that idea.
My eldest son is called Ben. His name's not on the register, so you couldn't call
Wow.
your kid Ben in Iceland. It has to be suitably Icelandic.
Talk about
interesting.
keeping identity in a country. There's something I like about that.
Well, there is because it sort of goes against the Australian law as well. That's pretty recent. Is you need to sort of apply. I don't exactly know the wording, but you need to kind of apply to the government or whoever to say this is what I want to call my kid, and they'll accept it or reject it.
That's right.
Because
I have to
people
think-
were calling them stupid names.
Yeah, but it's been happening all over for.
And
for-
Australia took action against
for
it. So did
ages.
Iceland, by the sound
It's
of it.
not a bad. That's
Yeah.
not a bad.
I quite
law.
like it. I mean, I'm curious as to how restrictive that list is.
It's
Yeah, me
pretty
too.
restrictive. I think it was my daughter Sarah that discovered this one because she thought this was quite a good idea for a podcast. So I'll give you £100 million if you can tell me the number one male name on the list
In Iceland.
in Iceland.
Jesus, we're
No, I
bordering
don't
on
think
the
it's
idea of being
Jesus.
racist.
I don't think it's Jesus.
Yeah, we're bordering on racist here. I reckon.
Yeah,
So we've got to be careful what we do.
It's
Wait.
John.
It's what?
It's John.
John. No.
Jon.
Is
See,
it?
I
I was
was
trying to
I
think
was-
of something Magnus or something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Oh
that.
yeah, I was going to
Well,
go. I was going to go with
the
something
female
like
name is Gudrun, which is
Gudrun.
quite a nice name. Actually, I call that.
I
Gudrun.
like
that again?
Gudrun.
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 Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's all right.
I just of laws. You know, the laws that aren't
Yeah,
laws
yeah.
but should be. Got one.
Go on then.
People should have an IQ test to enable them to have an online social media account.
Beautiful idea. I feel the same way about having kids.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So maybe you have to pass a driving or the equivalent of a driving test.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
The
The social
The
media
only
thing's pretty
problem with
decent, though.
a law for having kids would be nobody would then have kids.
Yeah, I'll
Because
download
nobody would pass.
Facebook, and then you have to go. Because sometimes you get those. I'm not a robot, so we download
Yeah.
Facebook. I'm not a fuckwit, so you should have to go through a set of questions, and once you complete it, says sorry, you're not eligible for a Facebook account.
I really like that idea. Do you know that? I really do. Also, it would, on a business perspective, I reckon that would drive traffic to it because you want to be part of it. You know, you don't want to be excluded from it.
Well, was there not something from one of the Outward Bound clothing people that said if you passed a bunch of diversity questions, you were allowed to get an account with them or something like that? Was that
Was there?
something like that?
It's incredible.
I'm not saying names here because
That's a good option, though. Craig. I like that one. I do.
Let's try and pass it. Let's get
Yeah,
it.
let's
Get everyone. Let's get this into Parliament.
We need 100,000 signatures for them to discuss it. Apparently,
I
No,
think
that's
the King,
fine.
I think
That's-
the King would be up for it. I think King
I
Charles
reckon
would
he'd be
up for that.
game for it. Like, I mean,
I think you'd agree with that.
wonder what his social media profile's like.
that
I
would be
bet
quite
he'd be
good
sitting
writing.
hoping. He'd be sitting hoping that Harry fails the test.
What we should really do, we should when we post a link to this up on Facebook. We should actually ask people to identify the questions they would have asked in order to enact
Good
what is
idea.
called the Craig Law.
I'm
I'll
happy to
take
call it
that
that if you want. Yeah.
one. I'll take it. I'll take that. Be my
Yeah, that's
legacy.
fair.
Be
But
my gift to the world.
the other side of it as well is you've heard like things are called laws, but they're not laws, right? So you've got things like Sod's Law, Murphy's Law, things like that, right?
Yeah.
So are these actual laws? Do they just make sense?
Or are they cliches, which we've done
They could be
previously?
cliches. They could
Check
be
a previous episode.
Yeah.
That's a good
Oh,
question.
well, see, now that's complicated, isn't it? Because we were just saying just now that some of these laws are written because of a one-off event
Philosophical
that
laws?
the writer didn't like. But then things like Sod's Law and Murphy's Law came about because these things happened all the time, and therefore they became evidential that that's
Yeah.
law. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
I'm willing to go with they're more philosophical than anything. Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Mhm.
That's just not true, is it? But
And is Sod's Law not something similar?
kind of,
Sod's
yeah.
Law. That would happen to me.
Mhm.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Well, there is a difference actually, because I've literally searched it as you just mentioned it. What's the difference between Sod's Law and Murphy's Law? Anything
And
that can go wrong will go wrong eventually. Sod's
Is-
Law requires that it will go wrong with the worst possible outcome at the worst time.
got you. What about the law of averages? Is that a
Yeah.
real one? Because I think that's a real law. The law of averages.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
not a law. It's not a legal law, but it's got
Yeah.
science behind it.
Yeah, well, here you go. Simplest terms of the law of averages, the common belief that relative frequency of event should correspond to its probability. It's not all comedy, some of it's information.
Some of it's informative. The highbrow podcast.
So here's an
everyone.
example. Example is probability of heads in a fair coin toss is 50%. Then according
Yeah.
to the law of averages, the proportion of heads in a series of tosses should be close to 50%. So essentially, you're not going to get 10 heads in a row, are you?
Yeah.
Not averagely.
well, Darren Brown did this.
He did. How long did it take him?
So-called, magician. But basically, what he did, I think he spent 8 hours tossing a coin until eventually there was within that
Yeah.
10 heads came out in a row, and that's the bit they showed.
Yeah. You only
Yeah,
showed that like
sounds about
15
right.
seconds or whatever it was. Yeah.
It's like you see these videos of people chipping golf balls or kicking footballs and achieving extraordinary feats, but
And it looks
people
phenomenal.
with
You're
nothing
like,
else
wow.
to do in their
Yeah,
lives
yeah,
they
yeah.
spend days recording it.
Unless they were using the law of attraction.
Oh God.
Because if you think it, I'm gonna chip 10 balls straight into the putter, then it'll happen.
Mhm.
True. But it didn't say how many attempts you get.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. Because you only show the one, and that's essentially what social media is, isn't it?
That's
But
it.
we're not gonna dive into that. One law that I want to enforce that's not a law is I want to make it illegal for people to stop to take photos of their food. I don't like it, man. Honestly, I was at a restaurant the other day, right? And it wasn't a fancy restaurant because I don't think she would have done it. She might have, but I don't think she would have. She genuinely got on her chair, stood up on her chair, and took a photo of an aerial shot of her food.
Oh wow.
It pissed me
I
off.
mean, I'm guilty of a lot of food shots, but that's more for groups to say, check what I'm eating.
Yeah, that
and
makes
it's a
sense.
Jealousy thing, yeah, but that's taking it a step too far.
Yeah, but not only that, right? Is if somebody's taking a photo of their food and I'm with them, I kind of just let it go. But then they want a photo of my food, and that gets to me.
So, no, this is my food.
But there's the amendment of the law.
It's
You can take
shy,
a picture of your own food, but
but
leave
not
others
yours.
alone. Yeah.
What about you, Andrew?
So the
What's
law
your
would
one?
basically read something like, you can't take a picture of your food when you're out on a Saturday night with Sean.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm game for that.
something like that. So that's Sean's law. So we've got Craig's law, Sean's law.
Oh, I haven't
What's
come up with
Andrew's
one
law?
yet. I want to avoid the social media ones because clearly that's painful for the two of you. But I'll think of one by the end. I do have a question. We were talking about the king just now, the king of Great Britain and Ireland. Did anyone come up with any royal laws that were
Well,
extracted?
one that I've got, I don't know if it's a law necessarily, but one thing that he does that gets to me is he doesn't have a passport. There you go.
Oh, so he shouldn't be able to leave the bloody country.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, obviously, the Queen's only passed away a few years back, but she was obviously Queen for all of our lives. She didn't have a passport, but in essence, she didn't need one because if you think about it, it's like, have you got ID? Here's a fiver. You know, it's like just our face is on money.
Are you
So,
suggesting she bribed her way through customs?
gosh, our face is on money, and I feel like I would do the same. Just show her money and go, look, here's me. You know it's me, but I don't know.
So we're
She doesn't
back
have a
to
passport.
people who ultimately create the laws benefiting.
Are they above it?
Yeah.
Are they above the law? I don't know.
I came. I can't remember whether this is my daughter again, but this one is staggering. And up until 1965, there was the death penalty for this. My understanding is it's still the law, but it's no longer subject to the death penalty, and that you can't allow your pets to mate with any of the royal pets without the permission of the royal family.
Wow.
That was death.
1965, that was subject to the death penalty.
That is unbelievable. See, Frank would have been screwed because like that would be if he's off the lead and sees a corgi, that corgi's getting it. And then does Frank get killed or do I get killed?
No. My
Oh,
reading
there's a
is
question.
that you have
Wow.
it's you that is hung, drawn, and quartered.
When you let that
Frank,
one
we're
go.
not going to Windsor. We're not going to Windsor.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't think that's the case
bizarre.
anymore. I think your life is safe, but it's still illegal for that to happen without the consent of the royal family. So you have to go and ask permission.
There's some
Another one.
strange things
Not
out
the
there.
toilet one. We should encourage someone out there to contact the royal family to ask if their dog could mate with one of theirs.
You'll get a blanket no.
Oh, well,
It's
sorry,
worth a shot.
slight off track. I hadn't thought of this. I assume the royal corgis are still around, are they? Because
Oh yeah. Well,
No idea.
they were the
No
queen
idea.
of pets
that's a really good point.
directly, weren't they? I don't know if somebody
Yeah.
else is looking
Yeah,
after
but you know for a fact that they would only mate with like the winner of Crufts or something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be high end. My dog's a mutt, apparently. That's what it's classed as.
He's not getting any royal corgis.
Nowhere near it. No, he's going to have to make do with his own toys and shit. Another interesting fact about the royal family is that if they're called to do so, they can seize your house. There you go.
Wow.
Well, I'll let them use my toilet, but
Yeah.
No,
just
genuinely, they can
strange.
basically take back the entire country if they had to. Yeah.
See, I can see sort of people getting wound up. I can see a backlash.
Yeah.
being created here.
Right. That's good. Apparently so. I don't know how enforceable that, because let's face it, if they tried it, they'd have a bit of a fight on their hands. They
You would
would.
think.
Yeah, but it's one of those strange things that I don't know if are still enforceable or not. But certainly at one point it was. So bit of a weird one.
Was it not some weird thing that happened last summer that they went back to some law from the 1600s or something to enforce people to do something? So from time, I can't, there you go. I can't remember anything about any of it apart from they'd gone back to some bizarre law. If that's the case, these things should surely be removed from the statute just in case somebody comes along and says, well, actually, I quite like that one. I can take everyone's house.
Well, then
I
you
think there's a lot of jobs worth kicking about within
Yeah.
these establishments that could surely go through these laws and say,
But then you got the debate of whether or not someone thinks it's important or not, right? Because like the big hot
The law,
topic.
so it must be important.
Well, if you think about it, no, not necessarily, because like obviously we're not American, right? And we're going to ruffle some feathers by discussing this real quick. But America's got the law of amendment, right?
oh, yeah.
So-
but then they'll use it
Of course they will.
and to say, like, yeah, no, you can't take away this because look at the
Exactly.
First Amendment. But the fact that it has the word amendment
It's
means that someone had already changed
They
it.
changed
so
it,
they
yeah.
can change it again. If something doesn't work, you can change it again, right?
precisely.
You can't
So-
use an amended law as a stance not to change a law.
So if
That's
we apply
lunacy.
that to the UK, we can pretty much change whatever we want as long as enough people agree, right?
Yeah, we just slightly amend some of these seizing houses ones and
Well,
some of the other
that's-
ones.
so-
About using the toilet one, for instance. You can knock on someone's door between the hours of X and Y, and it can only be for a pee. There you go.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
that's-
that's a sensible law amendment.
That sort of makes sense. You know, there's this whole you'll have heard it before about the policeman's hat and a pregnant lady being able to be in it and stuff, and it's yeah, but you can sort of grasp the concept of them, right? But the toilet one, doesn't really make sense to anyone. It is the
I'm
same in Alaska. You've got to leave your front porch open, unlocked, but that's in case of polar bears and stuff like that.
what, wanting to use your toilet.
Nah, just in case of attacks. They can use it if they want. But yeah, in Alaska.
Listen, if anyone, if a polar bear comes into your house looking for the toilet, let them use it. Let them use it.
You've got bigger problems to deal
You've
with.
got bigger problems.
Comment from the people at Falls. I need to take you back there, Sean.
Please.
Laws are only put into force if enough people support them.
Well, the right people, I guess. You have to have, like, say for example, if you wanted to put a law into force, right, you would have to get the required number of signatures in order for it to be possibly heard in the House of Commons before it even becomes a law, right? And then they'll debate it a little bit.
I suddenly realised what I want my law to be.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, do it.
I want anyone that's elected to political office, MP, or in Scotland, MSP, to have actually worked in a job and employed people before they're allowed to stand.
Oh,
do you know what? That's pretty good.
Serious law, that is.
See, that's a serious one to end it. That's kind of taken us back and made us look kind of like an actual intellectual.
Because what worries me is that, and we've seen this, and we could get into laws that have had problems over the last couple of years. We've seen people who have no experience of anything trying to put into power laws that are complete nonsense.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that's because they've no experience of anything whatsoever. So
I like that one.
Easily led by other people who have no experience of anything apart from being leaders of political parties.
So we now have the Andrew Law, the Craig Law, and the Sean Law, all of which can be pushed up the ranks to Parliament to get put in front of the King, who I'm sure will look at them and think, finally, we've got some sensible laws to put in, to add, and be enforced throughout the country.
Yeah, and I fully support his desire to repossess my home and to prevent my pets meeting.
Just in case he's listening.
Just in case.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. It would be good to see some actual common sense laws be enforced, rather than people stick to the letter of it rather than just make sense of it.
Well, I remember my law. Bill Piker was the law lecturer, saying that the law had to be interpreted both in word and spirit.
Yeah, but I feel like genuinely in the last, I would say 10 to 15 years, the spirit of the law has just disappeared. And people are saying, well, you can't do that because they're trying to technically catch you out. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean?
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. Yeah.
They're trying to get you on a technicality. For example, if somebody murders somebody and you know that they've murdered, everybody knows it, but there was a faulty warrant or some shit that got them off with it on a technicality. We shouldn't really let him out on that, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're probably right. If they've murdered someone, then the fact
he's admitted it as well.
Yeah, the fact that you didn't read them a certain part of the rights shouldn't stop them from being Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
Shit like that.
I know a mix of spirit and common sense.
Well, I think common sense would work fine for laws. If we just went in with common sense, don't do that. Why not? Because you'll get hurt.
I also remember a great line from that law lecturer, Bill Piker. I've just commented to you. Brilliant line. He talked about the law needed to be foolproof, but not bloody foolproof.
Well, you would think that, wouldn't you, Andrew? But I've got a question for you on that. How long ago was that?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that's going to reveal a lot, isn't it? So, I mean,
it is.
Well, law lectures, 1977, 1978.
The reason I ask, right, and this is, we could delve into something here, but I'm trying my best not to.
Going back to, like, you were talking about the common sense approach again.
No, not at all. But you said it doesn't have to be bloody foolproof, and you've got to explain to me why a packet of peanuts says may contain nuts on it.
Mm.
You're so right. Yeah, that's a whole. Yeah, ones like that really piss.
That's got to be a law now, though, right?
Yeah, it is. It is a law. Yeah, you've got to put. Now I get. Listen, there have been deaths with people that misinterpreting or misprinting labels. But
Yeah.
there's again, is there a common sense line? But where do you go off with common
I'm
sense?
allergic to peanuts. I
But
probably won't buy those then.
you're assuming that everyone has the same level of common sense, which is a dangerous game.
Well,
And
we
that's why
have to-
Americans don't mess about with it. That's why
Yeah.
that's why they like put a law to stop people eating cheeseburgers backwards. You know,
It's true. Yeah, well, you've got to move you got to move forward as slow as your slowest person. So, me personally,
Sean,
live
that's a
mine.
dangerous game. That's a dangerous game.
But that's how society moves, isn't it? You know, in order to get everyone moving, you need to move as slowly as the weakest link, and that's just
Surely there's got to be an argument for middle of the pack, right?
I mean, natural selection should take over at a certain point.
I mean, I
as far
think
as
so.
I'm concerned.
I think we've got to have some sort of natural selection. This is moving in a whole different avenue.
Well,
Thank
that's
God
the thing.
we've got the edit capacity.
Well, you've got two different options for the old the peanut argument, right? It says may contain nuts. Now you've got two different people that might cause a fuss on that, right? You've got one that is the one person that's stupid enough to not notice it's peanuts and eat peanuts if he's allergic to them. The other one is looking at a packet that doesn't say may contain nuts that he knows he's allergic to, eats them, and then sues the company for it.
Assuming he's not dead, which, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so there's people that would do something out of spite because it's not written down. Essentially, if there's not a sign for it, it's okay, is what we're
Which
looking
happens. Which happens.
I'm not going to quote the case because I could get myself into trouble here. And I'm being serious. But there is a recruitment case doing the rounds to do with diversity and inclusion, where a guy has won his case based on the fact that he wasn't given there wasn't an adequate change in how they went through the recruitment process to allow him to fairly take part in it. So this was asking questions differently, given more time, a variety of things like that. And this case is now held up as the piece of case law that shows that companies should work hard on this. People forget to add to this that this is a guy who has been taking companies to court willy-nilly over the last 5 to 10 years. And he's been applying for jobs he cannot do. Remember we used to talk about the Nigerian road sweeper that would apply for CEO jobs.
Why don't
finance
advertise
jobs.
anything? Yeah.
But this guy's been applying for jobs he clearly cannot do, and he eventually won a case against a company that he couldn't do the job, but they didn't change the recruitment process enough to take account for his disabilities. Now, that's
an arsehole. So, sorry, but yeah.
He's the guy that would walk backwards on a Tuesday with an ice cream cone in his back pocket, eating a hamburger,
and then fall and semi-choke and then sue someone because they didn't tell him he couldn't do it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so that's the people that we need to cater these stupid laws to. That's the people. That's why they exist.
And then we go back to natural selection being a positive thing.
Well, yeah, sort of. Sort of.
If you happen to be watching or listening to this and you've come up with some laws you think we should talk about, please let us know. And if you happen to know who we might have been talking about at any point, then don't let us know.
Because in case it gets leaked and you get sued by the person, they might be that person that we're talking about.
Yeah.
We don't want that.
Well, we do our best to keep names out of things if we can.
Yes. Cool.
I would like to know some more though, but I would love to see people debating laws in the comments and shit for this because it's so stupid.
So, I suppose we should think about closing this.
So if you've listened and you liked it, or even if you haven't, like anyway, share, get more people involved, comment, and we can add things to it. We're looking to get some guests on as well, so if you have any comments, any subjects you'd be interested in discussing, let us know. Or if you'd like to come on and rant about something, let us know.
Congrats on making it to the end as well.
Speak to you later. Take care.
Cheers.